What we need is positivity. That's Bitcoin. That's XRP. Don't believe me? Stay tuned. I'm going to tell you why we need better money. Fix the money, fix the world. Did you know that as of Friday, more altcoins were shipped to exchanges than at any point in recent memory? That's from CryptoQuant. As of Friday, I don't know if you could have gotten more bearish. Then, of course, you went to Saturday and you watched this market trade terrible. So this is what you stuck around for. How do you know it's a bottom? Because people who have been around for a while sit around and look at the market and go, this is going to snap. Don't tell me you don't know what I'm talking about. You know you felt it over the weekend. You just stared at this thing like at 107 Bitcoin, just like teetering. Couldn't rally. Couldn't do anything. It just literally sat there like it was going to break. It traded awful. And you know what I call those kind of moves? Silent bottoms. Silent. In other words, it traded so bad and you were already so depressed, right? That you just looked at it and went, I'm going to sell my whole bag. I want out. Make it stop. I'm done. I got to get out before it goes to 94K. Sure enough, the thing turns around and Bitcoin goes back to 110 and XRP's up 3%. Why? Well, because we need better money, right? You look at all these podcasts, you look at Dalio's on the tape going, this is what happens when fiat currencies fail. Therefore, you should own Bitcoin. Okay, bro, we know that. And you know who knows that? The XRP community knows that. Why? Because we need faster money, right? Like the XRP news only crowd on Instagram is pointing to the last 3 deals. Excuse me. The Instagram XRP news only group is publishing stuff saying, hey, these are the last 3 deals XRP did. And they look like the last 3 deals that like every big social media company did. Like, Google bought YouTube and Android and XYZ. So yes, Ripple has done 3 deals. Thank goodness. Because XRP needs a catalyst. XRP as fast money. All right. The stablecoin business and a layer 1 you can run something on. The fast money part is the thing I'm most interested, combined with the marketing behind Ripple. Now, you might be saying, okay, Bill, I can tune into any one of 6 crypto channels and hear exactly the same thing. Why is your take on XRP so different? And here it is. Ready? It's not in an ETF. You put something in an ETF, you put something in a stock market vessel that's attached to an options market, and all of a sudden you've handed legacy a measure of control. So is Bitcoin going up? Yes. Rates are too high. It's a part of a reset in financial markets and currencies. Obviously, gold is leading. Bitcoin's going to follow epically. But you could argue that Bitcoin is not the purest form of money. Or you could argue Bitcoin isn't the fastest moving form of money, at least in terms of price appreciation, because of the ETF. Now, naturally, you could also have an increase in demand in the short term. But if you watch the market and you listen to Mr. Market, right? What's moving? Zcash. Zcash wasn't even on levered platforms and it 3x'd. Dash, okay? Like poor man's Zcash, literally. Hey, both Bitcoin forks, by the way, and Bitcoin Cash had been perky prior to the Zcash and Dash rally. Interesting how everyone's looking for Bitcoin. They're looking for Bitcoin forks that have features. So this is not the knock on Bitcoin thing. Actually, because of gold and all these situations with banks and credit, which we covered ad nauseum last week, Bitcoin is super cheap. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do a roundabout case for altcoins. It starts with Bitcoin forks and XRP, which are fast forms of money that aren't controlled by BlackRock, that the crypto free market, the lightning that you can't put in a bottle, takes over. Animal spirits, the case for XRP and altcoins. Not to mention the fact, as said earlier, people could not ship altcoins to exchanges fast enough to get out. Everyone wanted out. Everyone thought their portfolios were going to zero. Like, it was a rare moment, honestly, when guys like me, I just didn't say anything. Right. My co-host, Toby, who does not have 20 years in the market, which is what makes her great for this environment. It's like, yeah, it's going up. I'm so tired of the bearishness, and walks off. It's like, I'm done. And meanwhile, I'm sitting there like you, watching my 45-minute chart, watching it just teeter until it lurches higher. And people won't believe this rally. And you'll probably have a couple of these, I don't believe these rallies, and I'm hoping for a 10% recovery off the lows. In other words, net, if you get that 10% recovery off the lows, then you can say, okay, now I can really start piling in. Really. Because this market was so bearish. It wasn't just bearish. It was like exhausted. There's like depressed, there's upset, and then there's just exhausted, where you just don't want to play anymore. Fancy word for it is revulsion, but I think you could probably associate with exhausted. And when everyone is exhausted, that's when the thing can spring into action, because everyone packed it in. Everyone packed it in on Bitcoin because they were all looking at gold. Wrong. Gold is fantastic, but gold is not a network. You can't pay for anything in gold. Gold is not a currency. It's a central bank reserve asset. Now, central banks have problems, so they're market buying gold. Fine. But what are the rest of us going to do? Well, okay, that's Bitcoin. Then you're going to have stablecoins pop up and DeFi as a parallel system, either because Wall Street wants to get its grubby hands in crypto. That's one angle. Or crypto's just going to proliferate as the free market just puts pressure on legacy. In other words, legacy just got done putting pressure on us. Now we're going to have our turn. That's right. We're going to have our turn. We're going to put pressure on you. And do little stable coins. Hey, let's get Bitcoin perky. Hey, you boys short those Bitcoin treasury stocks, huh? Bearish micro strategy, fading Michael Saylor. Yeah, when has that ever worked? It's our turn. It's our turn. I mean, I realize you're probably looking for really fancy fundamental analysis, but I don't think you need it. I don't even think you need fancy technical analysis. I think if you start looking at round numbers like 4,000 in ETH, 110 in Bitcoin, 200 in Solana, I don't know, maybe $2.50 or $3 in XRP. XRP should be above $3. This whole thing where XRP gets no love as money is going to come to an end. And when it does, it's going to be thunderous. Now, of course, everyone on YouTube, all the engagement farmers will say that, but I got Zcash and Dash on my side. And as one person who I'm very happy about noted on Twitter, that my secret box of chocolates under the bed, also known as Zcash, Dash, and Synthetix, are mooning or have mooned and then have corrected. So if there's a bid in Dash or Zcash or Bitcoin Cash or Synthetix, it's a question of time before that bid spreads out. Because what rallies? What no one likes, what no one understands, or no one knows how to buy. Those are the things that rally, which, Zcash, Dash, Synthetix, it all fits there because everyone either hates it or doesn't understand it. Naturally, right? What's next? XRP could be next. You know, Solana has been dead for a very, very long time. The Solana DPIN narrative, the Solana stablecoin narrative. You're like, what's that? Exactly. In other words, there are all these trades in legacy that everyone is worried about. Everyone's worried about a bubble in legacy. Cramer came out this morning and said he's a little worried about OpenAI's balance sheet. Like, this has been going around for like 6 months. You know, for every dollar OpenAI makes, they have to spend $3 to make it. An obvious problem, right? Actually, it's a problem for valuation in legacy in general, because they've pumped everything. You've had alt season over there. Meanwhile, in crypto, we are shipping altcoins to exchanges because we can't market sell our entire bags fast enough. What is wrong with this picture? Is there something wrong with this picture? Oh, I think there is. Which is why this market is all green this morning, with Zcash up 5% as I'm talking. Good luck stopping that. People do not understand that the market is actually out there looking for fast Bitcoin. The lightning is out of the bottle. The lightning is out of the bottle. It's like, okay, you want to get Bitcoin involved in an ETF? Great. We're going to go find something fast, right? Top Gun, the 80s. I feel the need for speed. And it's happening right in front of your eyes. And all you need is one big, like, I don't know, 3 to 5% up day, or you need like a grinding 10% rally off the lows. You know, give me a little gradually, then suddenly, with everyone out, everyone negative, everybody focused on, like, you know, a lot of the bad stuff. There's bad stuff, right? The Fed has to cut rates. The Fed has to come in and inject liquidity. It's obvious. It's obvious. Right? I mean, something is going to crack if they don't do something proactively. And just like when things go down and there's negative events, or there's rate cuts, rate hike cycles, or stock market tops, crypto goes down before those things happen. And then before the Fed comes in, guess what? Crypto's going to turn around and go up. I can't believe I didn't think of this last week when everybody was super negative. All I did was hang on tight and listen to my co-host in the YouTube member area, because, you know, sometimes it just takes the team to make the dream happen, right? It does. Sometimes you just have to shut up and listen to somebody who's the thought leader and, you know, put the chart away temporarily, although Patreon has some reclaimed breakout levels in both the platinum and the regular chat today. So, you know, join and check that out, because the thought leaders are the ones who did not sell the low. They were like, I'm not buying into this. This is complete bunk. They retested 104. Everybody thought it was going to go down there. Everybody thought you were going to have some kind of catastrophic break of 100. It never happens. Every time you start this, I mean, did you see the famous celebrity with the beard who lives overseas talking about 26K Bitcoin? I mean, I have to tip my hat. Fantastic engagement farming, and that's it. Fantastic engagement farming. Like, you know, one guy's like, oh, I'm getting short, and then he gets liquidated. All psyops, all designed to play on your fear. And I know that because they were playing on my fear. Like, I was literally like, I can't look at it. But then as soon as it turned, I'm like, okay, that's over. Seen this before. Had this market push me out. I didn't say anything stupid. You know, I was like, BTFD, I bought it at 107 and 109. That's what I did. I can only tell you what I did just with Bitcoin. Right. And I left the rest of it. I left it because sometimes you just have to log off. Now, you do want to see Bitcoin. I would on Lux Algo like to see Bitcoin punch through 112. I think we're in an area where you can start to go back into the market, not investment advice, because I think XRP, right? XRP takes out 250. It's game on. And, you know, Solana is, you know, pretty close to 200. some of these things are, like Dash at 50, Litecoin at 100, Bitcoin Cash at 500, right? In other words, these things are all close to even numbers. And of course, it brings joy to my heart to see ETH holding 4,000. Right? In other words, there are very subtle bullish signals that I don't think anyone's paying attention to. I think people are still looking at all the negative stuff from legacy from last week. And the simple fact of the matter is, you have banks that have issues. The government shutdown is going to become a problem because fewer dollars are out there. Everyone's worried about, oh my God, this is what happens when currencies fall apart. And there's the Japanese market and the American bond market. And you have all these macro heads. And I do this too. You have all these macro heads telling you all these reasons why Bitcoin should go up based on ABC legacy factor that you need an MBA to understand. Let me give it to you straight. You hung around this long. Let me explain it to you. Wall Street, every 10 years, goes through a men behaving badly spell. Men behaving badly, meaning bankers and traders compensated to take excessive risk by, misalignment in bonus structures. They're like, go out, do deals, do trades. We'll worry about it later. And that's great until it's not, until something doesn't work, until somebody has a hole in their balance sheet. And all of a sudden, the Fed has to come in big. The Fed has to come in big. This system is so fragile, right? You listen to all these characters talking about it everywhere, and they're all right. They're all right. The big question is, after it's taken a step back, can the Fed sit around and let there be problems in legacy? The answer to that is absolutely not. Not with the president in front of the Chinese. Not at all. Not at all. Okay? So, no problemo. No problems. Right. Which means the fire hose. Like, how do you think stocks manage to stay higher with there's an investment bank out there that's going to have major problems. There are banks, there's subprime lending. Wow. Stocks don't care. That's how you know the Fed's probably already in. Crypto teetered on the brink of oblivion and came back. So when we're done here, right, because, you only hear my voice, 1 hour maybe out of a 24-hour day, you have to ask yourself, like Morpheus from that Matrix movie, we are still here. Like, I'm still here. I don't like my P&L, but I didn't sell, or I didn't sell at all, or I got cash, or I can buy it back, or whatever. Still being here matters. Like, that tweet everyone does, who's still here? You are. You're still here. And if you're still here, you let everyone ship their altcoins to the exchange. You let everyone sell. And then if the market absorbs the selling, then you got to look out. Because, we've passed the test. The test was, can you buy a dip and make money? This thing looks like it was going to fall off the earth. Like, there was the wick, and then there was the dip. And if you bought the dip, even though it looked horrible, you survived. You were able to pay 107. You were 106, 105. They gave it to you. You bought the dip, and if you did, you can make money. Now, somebody's asking me when parabolic. Bull Runner is here. Welcome. Fuzz Crypto. When parabolic? You know what? You know what the real question is? When short squeeze? When short squeeze? In other words, the way this thing went down, the reason the retest happened was because everybody became afraid that it was a cycle top. And I bet all these Bitcoin treasury companies hedged. Think about it for a second. All these characters that were gig-along spot, right? What did they do? They used futures, they used options, they used perpetuals. They all came in and they all shorted the market. That and people just puking, going, I can't take it anymore. That's why the market traded so bad. In other words, why did it look like it was going to fall off a cliff? Well, because hedgers were sitting there on top of the market going, oh my God, it's going to 100. And then the second they stopped, boom, the market went up. And as they say, a hedge is something that little doggies, I got to be careful, right? Hedging usually doesn't work out. You hedge into euphoric rallies, not into declines. But of course, it never goes that way. Never. So you had all these guys selling, and then as soon as they stopped selling, the market popped. Now they're like, oh no, I sold it. Well, but I'm hedged. It's going to 100, so I don't have to worry. And they won't stop worrying until it's at like 120. So all the way up, we're just going to like squeeze out all these hedges. Because, that's the beauty of the Bitcoin treasury companies, right? They're all long and they're all scared because they all bought the top. So as you squeeze out the shorts, and then, spot buyers will start coming back in. And then if levered people can get loans, they'll start coming back in. Right. But you had to sit there while everyone had no money to do anything and watch everyone sell. That's why it looked so bad. But that's also why this can turn around and just keep going. It's like you just squeeze out one short at a time. Right? The market climbs the wall of worry, and then boom. And then the next thing you know, everyone's interested in money. Everyone's interested in Bitcoin. I'm interested in Bitcoin. I'm very interested in Bitcoin. Extremely, really. Because, the gold catch-up rally is going to be epic. The problem with the gold market was that people were trying to protect themselves from a dollar lending market. Nobody wanted to loan money to each other, and everyone freaked out and bought gold. Central banks have been buying gold for years, literally. Okay. So great trade. It went up. It still may go up. But what are the networks that you need to do something different with the world? Let me say that again. What are the networks that you need to do something different with the world? Like Avalanche holding above 20. Polkadot holding above 3. These are the networks. This is the money that people are going to need going forward. And I don't think anyone is looking at cryptocurrency the same way, right? Like our guys at AIntivirus, they're going to be doing a big airdrop, big tokenomics change, big privacy coin airdrop. So make sure you tune in with the Telegram and the website to get that information. Privacy is not going anywhere. Zcash didn't go anywhere. Market went down. Market dipped. What dip? What dip? Zcash strong like bull. Bitcoin fork with a privacy option. That should tell you something. Now, of course, everyone's like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's fine, right? No one ever knows. No one ever knows what's going on in the beginning. I didn't know what was going on last cycle with the DeFi trade. I had no idea. People didn't understand. Crypto heads didn't understand what BlackRock and the Bitcoin ETF meant when they started buying down at 20K post FTX. No one understood that. And I'm listening to a podcast today. I don't think anyone understood until now how unbelievable it was that crypto survived FTX back in 2022. Like, this was very disappointing and very aggressive in terms of how it went down. But it's amazing. It's almost like they're trying to break crypto on purpose. Or they're trying to break the crypto traders or investors. They did a good job. They did a good job. I mean, did you feel broken? I felt broken. But then I was like, is that by design? Did you not nice people out there try to get us all out? Try to make us not want to participate? Oh, I wonder. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a motto in intelligence: nothing is what it seems. Nothing. So if it went down, maybe it went down because they wanted it to go down. As crazy as that sounds. And I know that that's been out there, right? But it's something wonderful to talk about now that it's going up. Because if they wanted it to go down, is that because they couldn't buy enough? Or did they buy enough and now they want it to go up? In other words, what are the whales going to do? Is BlackRock going to pile into the ETF? Who wants to buy NVIDIA? You want to buy all this stuff with OpenAI with a giant balance sheet problem? What do you want to buy when the Fed comes in with the fire hose? The answer has to be crypto. And I hate to say this, but yeah, it's going to be Bitcoin. And I did a short video, and that short video did pretty good. Bitcoin could save your altcoins. Matter of fact, I think Bitcoin could save everything, possibly even including stonks, right? I mean, I'm not making any bones about it. This is not investment advice. If you have stonks that are high quality and not crypto related, or if you have low quality crypto stocks, exit as soon as possible and move into spot crypto, quality crypto stocks. But all this highly speculative sludge in equities, look, that stuff can go up into maybe, but it's over there. They had their alt season. They had their speculative fever. That's done. Generally speaking, it's an accident going someplace to happen, just not now. I mean, Zero Hedge and all the big legacy publications were saying that last week people freaked out so bad in stocks, it was essentially a repeat of what happened back in April. Everyone sold, everyone got negative. Same thing. It was like the miniaturized version. However, you can use that to exit ridiculously speculative stocks that you know you shouldn't own and move to crypto. Because the crypto valuations, and this is like my big point. This is my big point. So they got everyone out of a market that's just way too cheap. I saw some kind of statistic that like the gold market cap, the overall gold market cap was expanding daily like trillions was the expansion when it was up only. I don't have the exact figures, but gold was adding market cap at a rate where it made it bigger than most cryptos, just the change in the market cap. So if you think about how big the stock market is, if you think about how big gold market cap is, right? These are huge markets compared to crypto. And everybody in crypto is shipping their altcoins, and everyone in crypto is getting out, and everyone in crypto is telling me Bitcoin's going to 75K. Nope. Sorry. You guys want to take it to 75K? Well, then I guess I'll be talking to myself here, right? I'll have to get like an imaginary friend or a robot to talk to. But in between now and me talking to a robot, monologuing will be me, you, and this market squeezing out people who are negative, hedged, and frankly, didn't have the fortitude to hang on. Now, of course, I can say all that as I was like sitting here, you know, having flashbacks of all the times that crypto broke and went down 25% in my face. There's enough of those times. However, I faded myself and just kept quiet. Now, if you're still confused, keeping quiet is okay. Thinking this through, you know, it goes up 2 to 3% from here. You know, it's doing is melting through resistance. Like, are you going to care whether you bought, this is what Toby says. Are you going to care whether you bought Bitcoin at 109, 110, or 112 if it goes to 250? You're not going to care at all. Not at all. Okay. You know, and a lot of the talk in stocks is like, well, is it a bubble? Is it an AI data center problem? It's a valuation problem. Specifically, our valuations are way too cheap relative to theirs. And it's shocking that I'm the only one talking about this. Even Bitcoin, right? If you start comparing Bitcoin to gold and stocks and all these other things, come on. Bitcoin is a self-contained monetary system. So is XRP and Ethereum and Solana and possibly Avalanche and the new kid on the block, Zcash. Because if Zcash can scale, and I think it can, then you can have price action there that is absolutely wild. And on Friday, who was talking about wild price action on the upside? Nobody, because you couldn't, because people were so depressed, they didn't want to hear it. This is truth. Now, people might not have minded if we served you a cup of Kool-Aid. And of course, in the YouTube member area, we were picking small caps because there's really two kinds of small caps, right? Stuff that went up and that's corrected and stuff that's just dormant. You know how much of this market is dormant and has not done anything like in a year or more? You don't think there's any tech plays out there? Oh, there is. If you just stuck to tech and money, they're going to start moving like meme coins. Don't tell me Dash didn't move like a meme coin. Don't tell me Zcash didn't move like a meme coin. It went up 300%. Boom. That's like a meme coin. Meme coin price action is out there. It may not be in meme coins, though. This is something you have to get your head around, right? If Zcash was a meme coin, you'd be buying it. Right? And if you start thinking about Bitcoin as a meme for hard money, you might want to buy that too. Not investment advice. Okay. Cassius Clay, a member, says Sol is money. Antivirus even more. Yeah, dude, that airdrop that's coming up, you're going to have volatility in antivirus, but you're going to have a very big airdrop for a privacy coin. T-Bone, a Spartan Colonel. Welcome, sir. Stacks, Mark Liano. VA Buds, now a Spartan Colonel. Welcome, sir, for being a member for a year. Welcome to the show. Charlie, the positive cat from the antivirus universe. Okay. Haven Peck says coffee with his degen. We have some people here from a far off land. We have Yav, a member. What's going on? Markets climb the wall of worry. By the way, we appreciate all our members. Sometimes these things, when you look them on a PC and at the bottom of the chat, they have a join button. Come join us in the YouTube member area where we have the best podcast in all of crypto. Like, my podcast host is better than your podcast host. And that's to everybody out there in crypto, and all the YouTube members know it. DNT Saver, a member looking for the banana zone. Stefan, good morning, sir. The Hot Mess Express is here, along with Richard Barry and Hal Lopez, who is so delighted that he doesn't have to get up in the middle of the night for the market update, even though he will anyway if we do it later. We have Warmon Zapatas. Welcome. Welcome, sir. Don't forget to hit the like button. We have Manny0016. Smash Satoshi. 21 million Bitcoin Cash coins. Just saying. Dude, if Roger Ver is not... Roger Ver will probably wind up a free man. His wallet might be a little lighter, but he's going to be a free man. So you can imagine Michael Saylor and Roger Ver debating Bitcoin versus Bitcoin Cash. That will make me want to go to a crypto conference. You got to watch out for these Bitcoin forks, right? It's like Bitcoin Cash, Zcash, Dash, and who knows? Maybe even Litecoin. Who knows? It's like they're going to start marketing those coins. I'm going to start right now. It's Bitcoin without BlackRock. Game on. Everyone hates it. No one's long it. Let's go. People don't even know what that stuff is. I know what it is. They're boomer coins. Farmer Sam Forrest, what's up? Amit Singh, why not ETH? Dude, why not? I mean, I have said so many times that ETH statistically should follow gold and silver, and everyone's talking about the end of paper money, and no one's buying ETH. ETH is where it was at 2021. Nothing has changed in ETH. Nothing. Nothing. You know, the Fuzz Crypto is like, hey, when parabolic? Dude, there are so many things that could wake up and just go straight up. I don't know. It's not even funny. Bitcoin could follow gold. ETH could follow Bitcoin. You call it the Bitcoin complex. Could lead all altcoins. Can you imagine altcoin fever starting on Coinbase with normie dino coins? Like, what happens if, you ready? Let's have a laugh. What happens if Zcash, Bitcoin Cash, Dash, XRP, I don't know, Stellar, maybe, Hedera, Algorand, right? All those like made in America cryptos, which are also, required to be used by the banking system a year from now. What happens if all of a sudden they do a repeat of what they did last year? By the way, while I'm at it, all the energy that from the last two Q4 moonshots, yeah, the energy from those moves don't go away. Yeah, okay, your bags went up and your bags went down. But the energy that drove those bags higher in the first place, yeah, that energy's still out there, people. If a market did it before, a market can do it again. Just frequently people get surprised by market leadership. 2 years ago, it was memes. Last year, it was made in America. What are we doing this year? I don't know. Privacy, dino coins, layer ones. I don't know. I'm guessing we're doing privacy and AI because AI is so absurd over in legacy. I mean, it's either hyper overvalued or insolvent, right? It's crazy. Right? They're trying to build Skynet at such a rate, I don't even know if it's safe. And again, this was all covered in detail in the YouTube member area. So, you want to get in there and check that out. And Patreon, we are going to have an aggressive push in Patreon. We've had a lot of good TA in there. We've had some podcasts to keep people sane. And that Patreon Platinum area is about to get very, very full with the next round of Let's Go, which is altcoin picks, sector analysis. I mean, the final note, because I know this is way over time. There is a Gann formation in the stars where you're going to see something, you're going to see a transformation. I don't want to use the R word, but it goes back to 1776. We're headed for a monetary 1776. You want to know more about that? Please join us in the YouTube member area. That is the market update for today. We will see you tomorrow.